Hey everybody, welcome back to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb.
Hi, I'm Seth. I talk Star Wars with this man.
Alright, well, let's kind of get into just what we've been up to, because we didn't have a podcast last week, but we have one this week, so, we've had a couple weeks of stuff to catch up on of what we've been up to that's not Star Wars related.
Would you like to go first?
Um, sure, I can talk about what I've been up to first. Let's see, we had Thanksgiving weekend during all that.
Yeah.
So spent time with family. We watched Wicked in theaters together, part one. Had a good time. Um, and then, oh, hey, Harith. Hey. Hey, buddy. Welcome to the stream. We see you on TikTok, and we're kind of all over today. So we're trying to test things out. Let us know how we sound, because I'm still playing with that.
Yeah, trying to make sure that everything is actually hearable.
And so, like I was saying, yeah, we went to see Wicked Part 1, because part of my family's tradition on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's been a minute. So Thanksgiving and Christmas, usually what we do is we'll have lunch instead of dinner. So we have lunch with the family, and then we go see a movie in theaters usually. And so this, for Thanksgiving this year, we did Wicked Part 1. I don't know what our Christmas movie will be. There's some good options coming out. Like, I want to see the Lord of the Rings movie that's coming out, The War of Rohirrim. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for that yet.
Yeah, I think I saw it earlier today.
Yeah, I feel like you would, because because Anime Studio working on it, so it might be up your alley to try that one. I don't know if you're. I mean, fantasy's not really. You're more sci-fi than.
I'll take a look at it, see what's up.
Yeah. Very classic fantasy. So I'm very interested in that, and then there's a few other movies that are going to be out around then. I can't think of every movie that's coming out around that time, but there's a few options. And so, yeah, that's what we did on Thanksgiving. This outside of that, I did finish Wild Cards DLC for Outlaws, because we didn't because when we last left off, I still had to finish that. I did finish that. It only took 3 hours. So my quick little thoughts on it. I don't know if you watched the story.
No. I didn't.
Then I won't go into heavy spoilers yet, and I'll let you get a chance to check it out. But it is a fun one. I do like how they change Sabak a little bit in it, because it is still the same game, but they do change some things that I think make for an interesting change in the game, and I kind of would like to see maybe that version of Sabak spread to other Sabak tables, to where you can do that type of stuff. But I understand why it wouldn't, because that would be just so much to program, right? Because, like, you can get other people caught for cheating in it as part of it, so you can bust them for cheating, or you can even frame them. Because you can have Nyx, like, place cards. So, like, if you do the steal an extra card trick, you can then have Nyx, on your next turn, hide a card on somebody else if you don't return both cards.
Oh, God. Okay.
And then, yeah. And there's, like, a camera floating around during the game, so, like, you can't cheat when the camera's watching you, but then once it flies away, you can, okay, now I can cheat. So, you could waste time by not taking your turn yet, just sit there and wait for the bot to fly away, but the game will be like, hey, what are you doing? You just waiting there? You trying to stall? And I'm just like, stalling? Me? Stalling me? No, not me. Stalling? Never. The SpongeBob the movie. Stalling. But then, of course, that's just Act 1 of, like, it's, like, 2 different parts of the game, so that's, like, of the DLC, so that's, like, Part 1 of the DLC. Yeah. And then Part 2 is, like, this hunt for, like, a map. that was supposed to be the prize of you winning the sabacc game. And so it becomes that, and we get some consequences of Governor Thornton, because Governor Thornton's involved, because he's the one who's like pressing you into service. And which is a man that we heard a lot about in Outlaws, but we never got to see, because he was he's the governor of that planet, right? But then of course we eventually see him, right? With this DLC. So I like it. It's like I said, it's 3 hours, so it's not, if you're just doing that story, it's not long. Hey Pixie.
Hello.
Is the Twitch should be up too. I'm just trying to make sure everything's up. So just let me know if everything's up. It looks like everything is up that I want up right now. So we were having some issues earlier. So just let me know, how we sound and all that stuff. Oh, Harith. Uh-oh, TikTok stream's sitting on a loading screen.
Oh, no!
Hold on. Let me... try this again. We're streaming on we're doing some stuff. We're playing around with some stuff for our streaming. So we're having to... There we go. See if it's up now. Okay, hopefully we're back in business. Sorry about that. No, we can't. He's got to work.
I don't have to work today, but I don't know if I'm working next week on Saturday.
Oh yeah, you don't have to work today. But also, we're not.
But also, I'm very tired.
Also, I don't have the shot glass.
Yeah.
I will take an extra shot at the start of the next Dragon Age session. You'll have to remind me. We're also on TikTok right now, so we can't. So, only water. Drink water, everybody. It's good for you. Here we go. There you go. See?
I do have some fun stories from work and me interacting with people in general this week.
Yeah, what go ahead and tell us about that.
Recap. Thanksgiving went with my dad and my stepmom up to my aunt and uncle in Uriah, which is in the middle of nowhere.
Oh.
But I'm glad I got to see them. I got to see my cousins. Now, there's the question that I get asked every Thanksgiving when I go over there. You got a partner yet? And I'm like, no.
Oh, buddy.
And they're like,
yeah, exactly, Pixie. It's you got a girlfriend?
Yep. And I go, nah, not for lack of trying. And then
well, hold on, Seth. What do you mean not from lack of trying? I wish I could roll the clip back from previous... if we...
You have like a fucking highlight moment.
Let's not forget about how you very clearly missed the obvious flirting of multiple people throughout time, and we have talked about it on this podcast. So what do you mean from not from lack of trying?
Look.
Even Pixie, so you're trying?
Shut up. Don't worry. The next bit's gonna make this even fucking funnier.
Oh, okay.
So that happens, and then, like, my family that loves me is like... Some
Opposed to
people
the family that hates you.
as opposed to the family that hates me. Sorry. You gotta understand. Like, my family is divorced, scattered to the four winds.
Listen, I was like, does Zach like me after months of him trying? Yeah.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Hold on, though. I actually want to call that out, actually. I'm shooting shots at everybody.
Oh, great. So I'm not just catching.
Pixie's going to get some strays here. Pixie, what do you mean? Hold on now. The reason that you don't realize it is because you also have flirting as just a personality type, though. And so you can't tell if somebody's flirting with you because that's also just how you are. Yeah, strays getting shot everywhere. This is true, yeah. Yeah, so like, that's why you couldn't identify it, because that's just part of you.
The other... So that happens. I come home. Everything's fine. Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kind of speed blitz.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not much really happens. I've discovered a thing where when people are nice to me, it freaks me out a little.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, that's not normal to me. And I don't know why. But Wednesday, work was not great at the end, because bathrooms started overflowing, so I had to fix that before I left.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah. Fortunately, it wasn't anything terrible, but we were able to fix it.
Seth, what do you mean?
Like, it's not that people are actively mean to me, I'm just kind of used to people not caring.
I don't think that comes off any better, but yeah.
I'm fine. Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday.
So is this Thanksgiving or after?
This week.
Okay, this week. We're on this week. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Son of a...
TikTok does not want to work with us.
I don't know why. It's like you will only get 6-minute live streams.
Yeah, even though I did a practice run that
Yeah.
was just fine, like for 30 minutes, like before, not today, but before. But yeah, I don't know. We'll keep going though in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. So, Thursday, I go and I'm like, alright, I'll go up to the Dollar General, because I'm hungry at 7 in the evening, and I'm like, it's just right there, I can walk it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go, I get the stuff I'm gonna eat, and I'm friends with the guy who is behind the register, because I'm a regular there, I shop there pretty frequently.
Yeah, enough that, they're like, oh, it's Seth.
Yeah. And so, he's like, hey man, I got a question for you. And this is a funny question to ask me. And he goes, hey, how do you know if someone's flirting with you? And I go...
Well, I don't.
I go, what's going on, man? And he's like, oh, there's this woman that comes in and she keeps, like, hugging me. And I go, do you know this woman? And he goes, no. And I'm like...
Wrong person to ask.
Fucking right. And so I'm like, do you like her? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well then just fucking ask and be polite about it. It seems pretty easy, except I know it's not.
Yeah.
And so there's that, and I'm like, all right, you have a good night, man. And his coworker ambushes me at the door, compliments me, and I don't know how to fucking talk.
So you immediately show that you don't know.
Yeah.
As soon
Like-
you finish giving this advice, and then immediately show, oh, I'm actually not good with this. Perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing to get immediately disproven with how.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm single too, but like, that's for my own reasons that I don't share on the podcast.
Not a degree of social ineptitude.
That's probably what's going on. It's probably fighting me with OBS.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll save this for another day. Shut
Why
up.
do you make
Why do you
that
make an alarm?
noise? Why are you trying to tell me to get up?
You are the most annoying thing. Can I vent a little bit about
Yeah,
TikTok, actually?
Yeah, go on. I'll explain more stuff later.
So, okay, I finally have lives.
Mhm.
Which is why we're trying so hard to make this work. One, I hate that TikTok doesn't give you the key unless you get an agent through them. And that's how you can get like your key for like doing like stream, like, you know, because you get a key that you can link to stream to whichever site you're streaming to. This is all like back end things of how like streaming works, right? And so like Twitch, YouTube, each one has their own like RTMP type thing. Yeah. And so for most websites just give you the key if you have access to streaming on their site. So YouTube just goes, here's your RTMP key so that way you can stream. Here you go. Here's the link so that way you have your key link as well, because you need both of those if you're going to stream. Twitch also does the same thing. Immediately when you sign up for Twitch, you can access these things. Facebook also lets you just have access to these things. Kick lets you have access to these things. TikTok says, well, one, you gotta have 500 followers before you can go live. And then, even then, you can't have your key. You gotta go live through your phone or through TikTok Studio. No key for you unless you get an agent through us and request it. So you don't even get it then. You have to request it after.
I'm sorry, man.
And then it's not even going to matter, because guess what? TikTok's getting banned from the US.
Fuck. So,
Because the judicial just approved that you know, because they've been fighting this for a while, right? The judicial just approved for it to go through this ban, but it's not. It's like happening in January.
okay.
But still, so I finally get access to streaming, and that's when the ban gets approved.
On what grounds?
According to them, public safety from like basically like claiming Chinese software and things that have been disproven throughout these entire hearings, but and arguments that you can make about Facebook and any other social media of taking people's data and stuff like that you can make about literally any social media. Every social media does it. Yeah, and the real reason is that, what Pixie said. They give us the actual news, and, because TikTok is actually probably the best at giving unbiased news, for the most part, when it comes to, hearing everything that's going on. Whereas, other websites don't really report on these things. And so, that's the political reasoning, but obviously there's the public reasoning, which is safety, data security risk. So, yeah, Which I posted on Blue Sky because I'm on Blue Sky now. Which is like a new Twitter. That's a lot. Honestly, so much a breath of fresh air. I posted a funny thing about like, oh, I'm finally on TikTok Live, and TikTok's going away. And then I posted the Office GIF where he's doing the sliding in the back, hiding in the car. I'm just like, ugh.
Alright. So,
But yeah, you were saying though for your like explaining.
So, still on Thursday night, immediately after his coworker has like fucking sideswiped me,
Keep going.
he comes out and they start talking with each other, and so I can hear them talking to each other, and she goes, "So what was all that about?" And I just loudly shout, because I've like got a good 20 feet away from them at this point. I go, "He asked me a question and I gave him an answer."
Which I know Sethese, so I understand that this is not, meant to sound harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody else who does not know Sethese,
Does not speak that language.
it is. It sounds very much frustrated and annoyed. Which is not what you were probably meaning.
No.
Because I understand you.
The most literal answer to the question.
Yeah, you're just literal, and that's that's just who you are, and not. That's fine. I've learned to understand you by hanging out with you, and so like, but also like the rest of the world just like doesn't get that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah, and then I go and I'm like, you know who I'm gonna hang out with tonight? Gonna hang out with Angel, Sky, and Chris in the Discord call, and we're gonna talk about damn near everything.
Yep.
And so I explained to them, like, I don't know why, but this keeps happening for some reason. For some reason, I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
People like my stepdad, for some reason, he asked me, like, a while back when he and my mom were together. They broke up now.
Yeah.
That happened a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did you meet Pat?
I don't know if I did.
I don't think you did.
I don't think so.
I think you guys have been, like, within 20 feet of each other. I don't think you've ever spoken.
Maybe. Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, should I marry your mom?" And I'm like, "Give it a few months." Well, in those few months, you can guess what happened.
Yeah.
Ethan and Anna. This is old news. Guess who asked me for whether or not they should get married? I gave them the same answer. The same thing happened.
So are you just breaking up relationships by saying give it a few months?
I don't know. And I was talking with Sky about it, and he's like...
Pixie, Zach, don't listen to Seth right now. Do not. Walk away.
And I was talking with Sky about it, and they're like, well, there's one of two things happening. They're like, either A, you're really good at seeing where things are going, or B, you're actively cursing people. And we're not sure what to do about it.
Pixie, Zach, whatever you do, don't ask Seth if y'all are gonna... Don't. Just don't.
And so that happens, and then I was like, I don't think talking with Sky, and he fucking got me pretty good here. I'll go, you know what, thinking about it, I'm probably not good for relationships. And then he hits me with this and he goes, yeah, you're kind of a bit too blunt. I'm like, yeah, all the grace and subtlety of a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Fucking wrong answer, Seth, over here. And then yesterday, thankfully, moving past relationships and people asking me questions that could be better fielded to almost anyone else. I've never been more mad at a customer in my life.
Is this a Karen story?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, what do we get? A good Karen story goes a long way. What do we got?
So this guy comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
He buys. He's like, "Oh, I need some cash back," and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. I can do that."
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, and I'm like, "Okay, fine, but you need to buy something first. Doesn't really matter what it is. It can be like a fucking pack of playing cards.
Yeah.
Anything really." And so he gets his like 20 in cash back, and I'm like, "Oh, do you want your receipt?" And he goes, "No," and then he changes his mind. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can get it for you. Unfortunately, because I didn't really understand how like the system worked, I was like, I know I can print you off a receipt. It might just take a while for me to find it.
Yeah, like you gotta go through the back end and figure out where in the system it is. Yeah.
It took me 50 fucking minutes to find this thing.
Was there nobody else around to...
No, there were other people around. I was like, hey, can you give me... Unfortunately, it lists the transaction number, but it doesn't do them in the order that you'd think it would, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's no, like, search function, so
There's no search function.
So it's just scrolling until you find it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Because it saves, like, all of the information that entire register has had for the entire day.
Honestly, before you even get into what this guy did as a reaction, me personally, I would have, like, after 10 minutes, if you couldn't find it, I would just been like, hey, it's fine, and then just leave. Like, just not make it a big deal, right? Like, I would have been like, hey, it's not... I think that's what most
people, regular human beings
would
do,
which is, you know what, this is too much effort for you and too much effort for me. I don't want to make your day worse by making my day worse, so we're just gonna move along. But I'm gonna assume this is not where that goes.
No, this is not where that goes. He proceeded after like the first 10 to 15 minutes to spend the rest of it being a whiny bitch.
Well, I guess it's a good thing we're 30 minutes into the stream.
I was like, I've been keeping an eye on it. I'm like, I can't tell this story because I'm still fucking mad about it. Like,
but keep going.
I try so hard.
Hold on. The mic's not getting you on that one.
I fucking try looking through it. At a certain point, I have figured out where the transaction number prints for the receipts are, and I know the amount that he has, and I'm like, okay, I have all of these transaction numbers, so I know it can't be this one, this one, this one, and this one, because the amounts on these don't match, and they have too many items when we've printed them off. Eventually, I realize how I can fucking see where his goddamn receipt is. And if I had been thinking clearly,
Instead of being yelled at.
This man's grandpa, perfect. No, his grandpa, sensible. I'm not sure it was his grandpa, but I know that they were like
just
shopping
older
together.
guy, yeah.
And so, eventually I'm like, oh, wait, the current transaction number is at the right-hand side of the screen. Unfortunately, it's in between a bunch of other information
that's just irrelevant.
That's just irrelevant to, like, actually solving the problem. But eventually I figure that out after I check out another old guy, and then I'm like, oh, his was the one before this one, so it would be this transaction number. And then I go and print it off.
So a problem that probably would have only taken maybe 30 minutes at most if you weren't being berated the whole time.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
or, once again, the normal solution of, oh, it's taking longer than I thought.
yeah.
It's okay. It's not a big deal. Especially because it was my mistake to say that I didn't want the receipt to begin with.
I'm like, I don't know why you're...
Like, if I said, hey, I don't want the receipt, and then go, oh, actually, I do want the receipt, and you've already cleared it, that's my mistake. That's no longer your mistake.
Man has his cash back. He's got his item. Everything else, perfectly fine. And, like, once all of that gets sorted out, to give you an idea, it got to the point where my, like, current shift manager got the district manager on the phone.
Just to solve this?
No, not to solve it, to be like, hey, you might want to keep the cameras ready in case something happens.
Oh, okay. They thought it was that bad?
It was that bad.
But he had to be red in the face.
I was fucking mad too!
No, but I'm saying, like, yelling, like, I don't...
At a certain point, a crackhead came in. One of the older people was like, hey, you can't be here today. You're already banned from the store. And I'm like, I already know that one. I can deal with... I would rather deal with a crackhead than Receipt Man. And so eventually all of that gets sorted out, and the rest of the customers are like, we're not going to do you like that.
Everybody's like, we just saw this whole thing. We're good.
I think at the end of it, I was like, talking to my manager, I'm like, can I please just go home? While I still have the sanity and wherewithal to, like...
Or at least, at the very least, they should have given you a break after that. But yeah.
Fortunately, it was time for my shift to end, and
okay.
relief had already showed up.
Sweet. So thankfully it was just like, hey, it's time for you to go anyways.
Yeah. I think when I got home to Andrew and described, like, the level of anger I had about the situation at that point in time, I think the bone-snapping fury.
That's fair.
I'm a lot more chill about it than
No, I can tell. No, yeah, there's some people that just don't get it.
On more positive news, now that I've
gotten that out,
all of my fucking social bullshit of the past 2 weeks. I did play a little bit more of Divinity.
Yeah. And y'all got a new TV, so now there's color to it.
Color.
And now you can see where the quests are.
Yeah.
Because last time we talked about this 2 weeks ago, it was, I don't know where the quests are. And it's like, well, they put the dots on it. Yeah, I see the dots. I don't know which one are quest ones and which ones are location ones because the quest ones are golden.
Yep. And my TV was in grayscale at the time. So they just look the same.
They're all just shades of gray.
Yeah. Also, I went and I did, like, the little past the, like, orc thing. I went down. I looked for,
yeah, that's where the pirate
Pontius.
cave is. Yeah.
I haven't found him. I've managed to reattach Nick's head to his body so I can summon him when I want.
Yep.
I don't know where Pontius is.
He's near there.
He's somewhere in the Black Cove.
Yeah, you're in that right area.
I just don't know where he is or how to get there.
So you went all the way. So you fought the not really aberration, but
the big aberration.
Yeah,
I fought that, killed it,
and then you just pathed it down the hill
all the way to Nick's ship.
Down to the ship. Okay. There's a secret door that you missed. I know where it is. It's so right after you. I'm fine with giving you this because it's not a big deal.
Puzzle.
Yeah. So you know
I met a ghost.
Yeah, you met the ghost. Yeah. So the building that's right after the aberration, the little interior before you start going downhill to the ship.
There's like a little.
There's a hatch in that.
That hatch is how I got down to Nick's ship.
Okay, then out of the hatch, past. So if you walk past. Oh, you gotta solve the you gotta solve the little puzzle. You said you solved that?
I know I met a ghost.
Oh, so after you fight aberration, there's the ghost that has a little trap that you can potentially set off and fuck yourself with, but I assume you did not.
Oh no, I did.
Oh.
I died. Well, Medora died, and I revived her again.
Yeah, and then hatch, Nick, but then out of the hatch, past that, there's like a checkpoint. If you go that way, I'm trying to like visualize the game as I'm explaining it in my mind, like I'm thinking of where everything is. Okay, so
the only route that I haven't taken.
You haven't taken the black gate that's over before the aberration, as well as like there's that switch puzzle. And you haven't fully solved that yet.
Yeah, I don't think.
Once you fully solve that, that's how you get to Pontius.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the black gate also opens up as an extra thing on top of that. It's not relevant to getting to Pontius. Okay. It solves another quest. Have you talked to Sam the cat?
Sam? No, I haven't.
Okay.
Oh wait, no. He's hanging out in like the King.
Yeah, the one who wants to be with the mayor's cat.
Yeah, I actually have talked to him. He's like, I need like a shiny necklace because Maxine is a gold digging hussy.
That's a way of looking at it. She just wants reliability. Mm-hmm. Look,
Aru's weird.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay, so you're doing that quest too. Okay. Yeah, I just finished that one in my gameplay.
Also, when I fought Aru's machine, I did not, in fact, use the remote.
Because for some reason you couldn't figure out the remote when we were trying to...
Instead, what I did is I ran away like a little bitch and waited for the machine to meander on over, and then I killed it.
Were there any survivors of the...
No.
Okay, Fabulous 5 are...
I don't know where the Fabulous Five are, actually.
Because they were supposed to be there. You're supposed to run into some of them there.
The dumbasses that they tricked were there.
Yeah.
I don't know where
They're part of the Fabulous 5.
Ah. But then there's not 5 anymore.
They're...
Alright,
Pyramid Scheme. Pyramid Scheme, so technically there's almost never been just 5.
Yeah. Also,
did you trick people into joining?
No,
because there's that. Okay, because there is that.
I'm not a scumbag.
Because there is that crew that lose their ship, and they're like, "I'm out of a job," and you can like offer them to get work for the Fabulous 5. That's what I did.
Did they lose their ship because it's on fire?
So there's some people who lose their ship because it's on fire, and then there's this crew. No, but that fire, you can actually stop that fire.
Oh yeah, that's what I did.
Okay.
Used a rain scroll. That ship's underwater now.
You also have to be really fast.
Yeah.
Because it's a fire that does like, if you don't pretty much resolve it as soon as you walk through the city gate.
Oh yeah, you gotta get that shit on.
Then that ship's gone. But no. There's a crew that are like already.
So there's another crew that is meant.
Yeah. And they're like, we have no job. And I'd have to find them again in a gameplay.
I know that there's a captain in town who is like, my fucking crew is gone.
Yeah. Oh, you can have them join him instead too, if you don't want them to join the Fabulous 5.
Well, I guess that'll have to be the only option they have.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where the fuck the Fabulous 5 went.
Yeah, because after you get back from Arhu's, from the machine, and then you can go to the mayor and be like, hey, can you give me a reward for dealing with this? And he's like, well, the Fabulous 5 already took the money and left.
Right. Oh, also, you know,
Also, what a name for the mayor, by the way. His name is Cecil, and he's the mayor of Sicil.
yep.
Mayor Cecil of Sicil.
Yeah, well, Cylia the Enchantress is out in the town square.
Hmm?
Cylia the
Oh,
Enchantress,
yeah.
she's just out in the town square, so I guess it's a common naming convention.
Yeah. And so, let's see, you took down... So, did you take down, You fought what's her name? Now you're trying to find the temple. Where
I
they're...
found the temple.
Oh, you found where Brachus is?
I found Brachus Rex.
Did you fight him?
I fought him and then immediately decided maybe I can come back later.
Yeah, he's a tough cookie.
Mm-hmm.
So were you able to solve the puzzle to get into the temple?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had to fight the gargoyles.
Oh, the gargoyles.
Because you can either, like, when you go in, when you have to get into the temple, there's that enchantment on it, that on the door, where the
I didn't
gargoyles...
have to fight the gargoyles. I just
You solved their puzzle, or talked to them.
I talked to them in rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I lost that, so I had to fight them. Which, I had to switch up weapons so hard because I had to, like, find weapons that they were actually weak to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, okay, what's in my inventory? What do we got?
Meanwhile, I'm just out here like, they're like, we'll challenge you to a game of rock, paper, scissors and talking, and I'm like, fucking bet, let's go.
Once again, if we just ran this off of the actual stats and not a stupid random...
I'm over here. You have no idea how
At least,
good I am
at
rock,
least,
paper,
at least
scissors.
when the randomness is from the numbers,
It doesn't hurt as bad.
and it also makes sense. But here, you're giving me numbers, but then you give me a randomness that's not connected to the number, so why do I have the numbers?
Mm-hmm. Make it
Divinity Original Sin 2 gets rid of this. Larian realized this was a bad idea.
go faster.
Like, Larian realized this was a bad idea and removed it from Original Sin 2. Original Sin 2 does not have this rock, paper, scissors type.
Bullshit.
Yeah, because Larian realized, you know what? Actually, that was a bad idea, and nobody likes it. Except Seth.
I actually really...
You are literally the only person. Go to any forum talking about
They're
this.
like, this is bullshit.
Nobody likes the rock, paper, scissors. And
I like it just because I'm pretty good at guessing at rock, paper, scissors.
But yeah, but no, I had to fight them, and then and then it took me 3 tries for Brachus. I had to do some stealth, maneuver my characters where I wanted them.
I saw Brachus, had a conversation with him, and realized that he had all of the bosses from some areas I hadn't even finished clearing out yet.
Yeah, like there's the lighthouse boss. There's the which is the the slime, the
ghoul.
acid, and then the ghoul. Yeah, and then so
And then the twins joined by fire, which I fought. I killed them. It took me a lot, but I figured it out.
I'm trying to remember which one that is. Is that over by?
It's in the big fire hellscape. It's still near Sice.
Oh yeah. It's like near. It's you have to pass it to get to to the temple and to
Yeah.
the Lucellan forest.
Mm.
Then there's you still haven't dealt with the voices.
No, I have not actually.
The one that has made so many people do crazy things.
Yeah, I encountered their fucking...
The result, you find the results, but you don't see them.
Yeah, I found their statues, and they started talking shit, and I was like...
Oh, you don't... So you found where they are, you just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Use the type of damage that they are to activate it. I believe. It's either use the type of damage they are to activate it, or use the opposite one to activate it. And then, a demon will appear, and you have to fight it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's that simple of a puzzle. So if it's a fire one, I think you do fire, and then of course you use water to fight it, so that way you beat it faster. And then it's fire, acid, ice, and I forget what the last one is.
Yeah, something like that.
And
I know that there's shock
or shock, yeah. Fire, acid, ice, shock, I think is what it is.
Something like that, yeah.
Or earth. If it's not acid, it's earth.
Yeah. I know that there was another thing in an area that had some switches that was also element based.
Yeah.
I'm like, I pushed some buttons. I don't know what the fuck any of it did.
But you know how they say they're like, oh, there's a treasure behind us if you kill us.
Yeah.
You're gonna find my favorite character once you do. My favorite character in Act 1, anyways.
Let's see what else.
So yeah, it's a fun game, and so yeah, it took me a few times for Brachus. I had to like shift my characters around to like basically be ready to fight the other things,
Yeah.
and then like basically just have characters in spots where I could ambush the other one as it appeared, and then really you got to take down the other ones and then face Brachus, because otherwise you're just...
I understand that because I'm in their lair, Brachus gets to go first. Doesn't make me less mad about it.
You can still stealth around, though, for a good chunk if you have a good stealth, and you can, sneak around. I do like when you stealth, you either become a rock or a bush. It's very, yeah.
Here's a fun little thing. So you know the, like, I'm a skeleton, go deliver this letter to my wife?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Done.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, don't open it. And I'm like, okay, cool.
And you've been to the lighthouse, because I think when I was hanging out with you last in person, you were at the lighthouse.
Yeah.
So you've talked to the lighthouse keeper, who's like, oh, I killed my wife because I was jealous. Yeah. So the Black Gate is where you resolve that. So.
Oh, okay.
Same thing with it's where Sam's collar is too.
I don't know if I should go and look for a key to the Black Gate.
That Black Gate opens by doing the switch puzzle correctly.
Okay.
I believe.
Either that, or I can...
Or there is a key, I'll have to look.
There's either I do that puzzle, find a key, or the worst possible option, just beat the shit out of it until it breaks.
I don't think... Is that gate possible to break?
There's
certain doors that...
It's got something like 50,000 health.
I was going to say...
It is probably doable.
Yeah, that would just take too long. The only house I ever really break into in that game is Evelyn's. I always break into Evelyn's. I always just break it down. It takes a minute because doors in Divinity are tough.
Yeah, they got about 500, 600 health.
Yeah. And like you would think, oh, I can take down a door.
No.
It takes a minute. It more than you would hope. But well, we're already an hour in. Okay. Do we want to? We don't have any news today, so let's go ahead and just dive into this, because we got 4 comics, right. 4 volumes of comics to talk about. So we finished.
Oh, Pixie, I can see your back.
Yeah.
You miss.
No, I think she was laughing because we're finally getting into the main topic.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Look, I mean, it's our only podcast, so, we got to talk about... If y'all don't like if you don't like hearing about stuff that's not Star Wars, then sorry.
Sorry.
But I know Pixie doesn't mind.
It's the talk part of our show that we fucking lie about.
Yeah, it's Escape Reality Star Wars talk, so talk is just separate from the Star Wars. It's Escape Reality, Star Wars, and then a talk show. So there we go. That's how we can justify it. But no, so we got 4 volumes of comics, because we had to finish, because Star Wars and Darth Vader finished their runs finally for comics. Finally. And I do actually love how both of them ended. I think they both ended really well. I think... So let's talk about Star Wars first. Well, the first volume of those 4 of the 2 that we're going to talk about, volume 8. So Lando on Trial, which is one that the comic has been building up since the beginning of the 2020 run.
Oh boy!
Because the 2020 run has been building up this Lando's kind of did this thing.
Yeah.
Because like he gets the talkie droid and then gives it to Jabba, and that's like the start of the 2020 run.
Yep.
And then we've kind of been getting there to this point where it's like, okay, consequences?
What are the consequences of you selling us out to known gangster?
And so, I do like how this is resolved. I kind of predicted it once they were like, "Oh, Mon Mothma's been kidnapped," and I kind of predicted, "Oh, they're gonna get Lando involved because that's how he's gonna prove that he's still loyal to them." And so, now I do like the implication at the end of it though, where he talks to the adjudicator that he hired, and he's like, "Did you set up that kidnapping?" And she's just like, "Who's to say?"
Like, I don't know.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but hey, you got your freedom. That's all that matters.
This is the most... If this was an actual legal system, I would hate this woman so much.
Lando's like, did you gas me to try to prove that I'm innocent?
You almost kill me and kidnap the president to prove... That's what she
It's National Treasure. Done. It's National Treasure 2. We gotta kidnap the president to get the Book of Secrets.
This is the most like.
But also, it's such a like it's very Better Call Saul Goodman. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get you off of this, and it's just like she promised to do whatever it took.
Yeah. The best part is, like, the introduction to this character is...
We need to get Chris on to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
Because the man's an actual lawyer. I'm curious of his perspective of this. To be fair, this was also, like, a military trial, less of an actual proper, like...
Military tribunal, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, they were like, well...
Lando is basically put on trial for treason.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, that's exactly
what it is. That's exactly what it is, because General Madine is like, nah, we gotta kill this fucker. Which also made me switch how I think of Madine, because I normally like him as a character. But the way he treated Lando was kind of... Okay.
Like, didn't know you... Damn, where the fuck did that come from?
Didn't know you thought this strongly about it.
He's like, you fucking sell us out again.
Yeah, like, which is very weird, because I'm pretty sure... I'm trying to remember if he's an ex-Imperial, like a lot of Rebels are or not. I'm trying to remember. I know he was held prisoner at some point in Legends, but I can't remember if he was ex-Imperial or not. Because if he is ex-Imperial, then that makes me hate him even more for this. Because that seems very double standard to me, but... he might not be, though. No, okay. But at the same time, I'm like, Madine, you... Like,
you kind of...
Like, you weren't this harsh with Han, ever. In fact, you backed that man up a lot, actually. Whereas Lando, seems sus to me. But,
like,
if it wasn't for Leia and Mon Mothma going, hey, actually, we should be, like, showing that we're a good example if we're going to try to have a government that's not like the Empire.
The problem is, right?
And then there's also Twofold, which I assume you're going to lean into that second part.
From an outside perspective, they're like, there's the, here's what your crime is. Here's why we can't just take care of it in, like, because this is a private matter.
Well,
and
they
do not want.
Except Madine was fine with it being public. Madine was like, yeah, we'll shoot him out the airlock and make it public. And Leia and Mon Mothma were like...
Everyone else is like, we can't do that.
Yeah, even Akbar's like, I'm fine with shooting him out the airlock, but it'd have to be quiet.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, we can't go and just fucking kill
a war hero. Because at this point, he's already made it, like, the Rebels view him as a hero at this point. And he hasn't even done some of the bigger deeds that he's going to go on to do, which is, like, help destroy the second Death Star. Stuff like that make him even more of a hero.
Yeah.
But he hasn't even gone to do that stuff yet.
Also, the rebellion is in disarray right now. We can't afford to take a heavy hit to the morale like that.
Yeah, because
it's like teetering on the brink.
Because they're still on the whole, we're scattered and we can't really like reform everybody at this point.
Yeah.
And so the problem would be, one, killing a war hero so publicly, and even privately it'd be a problem because people would ask questions. They'd be like, where is
Where'd
he?
he go?
And so they're fine with doing it privately, and they can try to probably get away with that. But the problem there then is, well, we can't just kill him.
Yeah.
We have to actually have a trial, give him due process, because we have to show we're not the Empire. Because the Empire, that's exactly what they do. They would just make him disappear.
Also, they use Corellian legal code?
Which makes sense, because that's my... No, yeah. I guess I mean,
which is weird.
Maybe that's the main judicial system.
Yeah. The only reason I can think of is I'm like, well, Corellia's where all the ships are, so it's probably pretty common for a lot of things.
Yeah, I would think that's just probably the main legal, like...
Yeah.
It's also probably the last time that it's probably the last legal laws that the Republic had on books before the Empire probably changed a lot of the legal laws, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what happened, I think, is that the Empire has different laws, and so they're trying to use Republic laws to... Which is why Lando's adjudicator is like, hey, I don't know much about... Although... Bluff.
Liar.
Yeah, lying. Even Madine's like, it's pretty interesting how you all of a sudden know these rules after you said you didn't know them. And she's like, oh, I just looked them up. I skimmed it real quick while y'all were talking about Mon Mothma being gone.
Yeah. Also, have you ever heard of the Jedi mind trick?
Which I'm
like, is that your go-to?
Yeah, which...
For when you don't fucking know what to do?
Because this isn't the first time we've ran into her, right? We did we saw the Revelation one-shot, which this volume does include as part of the volume, but I wasn't really going to talk about too much, because we already did.
Yeah.
But it is important because we see, like, her... Once again, it's Better Call Saul. She has this trick, and she uses it, and because it's the Empire, they're like, oh no!
Our official legal position is that that's bullshit.
But we can't disprove it. So therefore, we have to go with it.
No, it's the exact opposite. They're like, that's not a valid legal defense.
The Empire, they had to go...
No, Dengar gets...
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
They're like, yeah, our official legal position is that the Jedi don't exist, and anything associated with them doesn't exist.
That's right.
So Dengar did in fact just get fucking hammered and have a mild car pile up.
So I don't know why she did it again, because
it's rebellion. She's like,
maybe they'll believe it because they've got a Jedi.
Believe it. And Luke, who was in the room,
Luke's in the room. He's like, "That's not how Jedi mind.
It doesn't work that way.
It's the Han Solo. That's not how the Force works."
Yeah.
That's right. I kind of skipped that one because I was just like, we read it before, so I skipped it.
That's her fucking go-to for when she doesn't know what to do. And then she tries to...
Except she did know what to do, because, once again, it's implied that she played the rebellion so hard in what she did.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am confident this woman got Mon Mothma kidnapped.
But what I mean by that is, like, she tries the Jedi mind trick, and when that doesn't work, she's like, can we take a brief recess? And the rebellion allows that.
But we do see that the kidnapping is already in progress even before she takes that recess. So I think she already planned it.
Oh, of course she did.
So yeah, I think So it's very interesting.
I
do feel bad for the leader of those kidnappers, because they were about to be like, you know what, you can go. They were literally about to. Yeah. They were literally about to let Mon Mothma go, because they're like, you know what, you make a good point and make good arguments, and then one of their people come in from behind and go, "I'm in it for the money."
They're like, the money.
I need the money.
And so
they convince Lando convinces Chewbacca, hey, I know these people. because he realizes he recognized one of the voices of he recognized the leader's voice.
Yeah, the Scarabi.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I recognize their voice. I know how they operate. They mean serious business. They will kill her.
They will kill her. They're not like everyone else. They will straight up kill her.
But more than likely, though, they'll also make good on their threat to let the Empire know that they've got her if we don't provide the money."
And it was 10 million credits. God damn.
Empire's got that.
The Empire definitely does. The Rebellion does not.
No. And so, yeah, But yeah, it gets resolved. Lando gets not proven innocent. He basically they go guilty, but time served, and we'll make that. We'll as long as you like.
They're like, they do the thing of
do community service.
Yeah, basically, they're like, here's your fine. If you do enough community service, we'll let you go.
Yeah. Well, on a basis by basis, a case by case basis, we will decide how much value you prove for each action you do to pay off your debt.
They offer him a nicer version of the fucking Suicide Squad deal.
Yeah, no head implant chip, no neck implant though, so no head explosion. So yeah, they're like, just pay your debt to society and we'll call it fair. And when we win, then you owe nothing else. We'll even clear the rest of your debt once we win.
Yep.
Which
to the Rebellion, you'll have to sort out the rest of that shit on your own.
Yeah. So I do like that was the resolution. It's like, okay, so there is still like comeuppance for Lando, right? He didn't get away scot-free, right? Yeah. But also we have to get to a resolution where we know Lando can live and be part of the Rebellion and still be a hero. So this is that happy medium to that problem, right? Because when you're reading the comic, you're like, well, how do they resolve this? Because Lando can't die, and he can't be kicked out of the Rebellion. Because we see Return of the Jedi exists. Mm-hmm. So what happens?
Yeah.
And I think this is the best resolution they could have probably come up with. And yeah.
All right.
What else is in that volume?
I think that's...
Luke stuff. The Sith. Yeah. That's actually the first part of the comic. The Lando is actually the second part of that volume. I was more excited about I was excited about the Sith one, but I was kind of disappointed. It wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be. I feel like the Luke one gets resolved faster than I was thinking it would. It's not a bad resolution. It's just speed ran.
Yeah.
Because it's very much a case of, oh, Luke goes in the crystal again with the help of the Fallen Asi.
Yeah.
And he basically confronts his own issues, and then that's what clears the crystal. Ha!
Yay!
Like, we don't learn any... I was hoping to learn more about that Sith, honestly.
Yeah.
That's the part that disappointed me. We learned nothing else about that Sith.
Luke is out here fucking power grinding.
He comes in, and the Sith is like, the last Jedi we had was a court jester who then jumped off the building and died.
Yeah. It's like, Luke is like, okay. And...
Which is why it's disappointing to me we don't learn anything about that Sith. And it's the title of the volume.
And
it's like 2 issues. Yeah. It's a 2-issue situation.
The Fallen Asi girl's first instinct is just to shoot whoever comes through the door.
To be fair, with the Empire around.
Yeah. Luke is like, I didn't know I could bink.
Oh yeah, he does the Vader bink from Empire when Vader does the reflect, which proves, because that was a conversation for a while. That's been a conversation piece for a while, and this kind of definitively answers the question of what was Vader doing. Was that him using the Force, or was that his armor? Because that's a conversation that people have had for a long time. This now definitively gives us it's the Force.
Yeah.
Vader was just powerful enough to do that. Which also, He does something even more powerful than that in the
later.
when we talk the Vader comics.
Also, the fact that Luke is like, yeah, I read about it, and I didn't really think too hard about it. I just kind of instinctively did it because you pulled a gun on me.
When they start blasting, I start defending. Also, that fallen Aussie girl has a crush on Luke.
Yeah, and her grandma
yeah.
is like, that boy has more things on his mind.
He ain't thinking about girls.
He's not thinking about girls right now.
It's you, Seth. It's you. Did Luke feel Seth coded for a second there?
For a brief moment, I'm gonna say yeah. It's the I have work to do, so I can't afford.
Seth felt so much. That was like probably one of the few times he felt related to a Jedi.
Me with my well-known hatred of Jedi.
They're like, you know what? I actually got some things in common with this Luke character.
What?
Thought that said.
Oh.
Oh. But yeah, which that's like the second character in the Star Wars comics. That's like, oh, I like Luke. Too bad Luke like pays no fucking attention to me. He's so busy working. The other character being Warba.
Yeah, Warba is like, you piece of shit. How dare you be a good person and make me fucking want to be better.
And now I want you, but you're too distracted with trying to save the galaxy. There's a lot of people though that think that Luke is actually like Ace, which there's nothing disproving it in canon. In Legends, he's definitely not. But in canon, there's nothing disproving it. Like, he's liked people, and maybe he's Demi if we were to like really examine, because he has liked people, but he just we never see him focus on a relationship. He's always like, nah, I gotta work.
A big problem now.
And even after that, though, he doesn't really like, because at least in canon so far, we don't know of any relationships that he has after Return of the Jedi. It seems very much that he's still just focused on rebuilding the Jedi, and that's really his only like goal. And so it's very interesting that is a perspective you can have of Luke in canon, because we just don't have evidence proving like otherwise. Obviously, in Legends, we do. In Legends, he's very much straight in a married relationship with Mara Jade. But in canon, he could be anything, which is pretty interesting. Like, he could be straight, he could be ace, he could be bi, he could be whatever. We don't know, because that's just not a focus of Luke as a character. Which is very interesting, right? Because usually, because it's space fantasy, fantasy stories love having their characters get into relationships. Yeah. Like, their main protagonist always gets in a relationship. Not Luke.
Do you think the relationship quota is, for lack of a better term, offloaded onto the rest of the cast?
I could see that argument, yeah, because like Han and Leia immediately have to get together. Lando doesn't end up with anybody on screen, but we know he does end up with somebody because we know he has a daughter,
and we know that Chewie is married,
with a kid, because we know about his family because of the holiday special.
Chewie.
It's not canon, but they are canon.
Every live day, Chewie's like, "Fuck, I miss my family."
Didn't even happen on Life. Didn't even happen on Life Day on the one that we're going to talk about today. Chewie's just like, damn it! It's been so many years. I'm done. But yeah, and so I think it's interesting what we see about that stuff, and so I do like Luke like coming to accept, like, through these 4 volumes that we're talking about today, kind of coming into his own.
Yeah.
and starting to realize I am a Jedi, and while my father is important and I do want to save him, I also need to make sure I don't try to be. I need to avoid becoming him in the process, but I don't need to be so guided by that fear that it stops me from doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the main lesson of the Sith, the Kyber crystal situation. That's the main lesson he comes out of it, is that he can't run from, like, it can't be a fear that guides everything he does.
They're like, you're gonna have to deal with this one.
Which is why eventually the Sith that's in the crystal starts to change and becomes Vader, or a representation of Vader. It's because it's a representation of Luke's fear. And so, I guess in a way, while the crystal both stores the hate of... While the crystal stores the pain of the one that inflicted the pain on the crystal, so the Sith, this mysterious Sith from millennia ago, right? It also carries the weight of whoever is trying to heal it.
Yeah. Because you got to put your stuff in the crystal to heal it. So if you have any stuff you brought in with you, it goes in the crystal too.
And so any baggage you have to deal with and confront.
Otherwise, it don't work.
Which, I don't think it was explained that well the last time. That, like, I guess they did try to explain that, but the way it was explained wasn't the best, because we never saw that representation the last time Luke was in the crystal. It was just that mysterious Sith. We didn't see the Vader of it all. It was just, oh, mysterious Sith, basically backhands Luke out of the crystal, is what happens the first time. This time...
We're not supposed to be here.
Whereas this time, Luke actually has to go through dealing with it. And so now we see how it works. And we've seen the reverse. We've seen having to pour your pain into it before. That's Vader and what he does. And when he... Well, I have. You haven't read that comic yet, but...
I know what he does.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard.
Yeah. And you've probably seen images from that comic.
And I've seen crystals be bled before.
Yeah.
So... Even though I haven't directly seen it, I understand how it works.
Yeah, like you haven't seen the in crystal representation, but you've seen, like, from the exterior what happens. Like, you've seen Dagon, you've seen Osha, and so you've seen what I was trying to.
No, I'm laughing at the fact that her name is Osha
because of a joke we were having earlier. Yeah, but no, so it was Osha. Yeah, I was like, my brain. I want to make sure I'm saying the right twin.
Man,
Yeah. So like we've seen what type of emotions have to go in to do the reverse. And while the Ahsoka novel exists and shows the first time of that happen, like we see Ahsoka doing that to crystals, we don't get like a in the crystal view of that. We just see, oh, she meditated, and then right. And so this is different.
Yeah.
And so, while, once again, I kind of like it, I also don't. I wish it was a little longer, but I get
it.
Yeah.
It serves its purpose.
Yeah, it serves its purpose. I think it's more of, I want more in a good way, not a...
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I wanted to learn more about the Sith because that could be a cool thing. Kind of like how we know a little bit about, like... we know, like, a few other ancient Sith that exist. Like, I like learning that stuff. But obviously, the comic didn't exist to serve that purpose. It exists to tell Luke's story, and to do that, it serves its purpose. And that's, I guess, that's me. That's a me problem. That's not a comic problem. That's not a problem with how the comic worked.
I
So that's a me problem that I have to. Let's jump to Vader.
Yeah. Can we talk?
Oh, did you want to talk about
Slymore? Fuck did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, so the Darth Vader comic is the start of the Empire
Schism
Imperial's plot, which is Slymore's attempt to maneuver around Vader, which is, hey, I want to. Well, she claims it's to get rid of Palpatine, but it's really to get rid of Vader. And so we see behind the scenes of who she's recruited, and I actually really love that the people that Sly has recruited are people we have come across throughout the entire Vader series. I really like that. because we see that these are people that have had the consequences of Vader messing up their lives, and because we have seen the initial we've seen the Vader side of it, of what Vader did from earlier issues. Getting to now see the consequences of Vader doing that is very interesting. Whereas any other comic, maybe they would have gone, "Oh, we introduced these characters who you've never seen before, and they're part of this schism." No, this comic goes, "No, these are people you've seen before, and maybe you don't remember them. Maybe you're like Vader. Maybe they're nobody to you." But
there's Lieutenant Pride.
Oh yeah, Pride is the only one who's like on board because he's pro Vader.
Yeah.
But everybody else is like, Vader fucked up my life.
Fuck this guy.
And then Sly Moore's like, well, Vader's now part of the team.
Then there's
because there's
former Governor Tontaza.
Yeah, Tontaza,
who is a fucking
which we've
Hulkbuster Iron Man suit.
Yeah, which we saw what she was trying to do, because a few comics back, that's when she's using Kitster and Wald's machine to try to suck up the energy of that planet, which then Kitster and Wald were like, we don't want that.
Oh no.
That's not what we invented this for.
Oh no.
We didn't invent this to make weapons. We did this to provide free energy to people.
We'll be taking that.
And so of course we seen that was during the Vader and the Handmaidens arc. I don't remember if you remember that specific plot point, but yeah. And then we got Fabarian, yeah.
Who I'm like,
who's the one I remembered the least, which was like, oh, I feel bad now. I'm Vader because I forgot you. Because I think that's the point, right? Yeah. Like that these are low level people that, to somebody like Vader, nobody's. Just tools for the Empire. Right?
Yeah.
And in a way, they still are serving that purpose, because that's also how Sly uses them.
Yeah.
They just don't know that yet.
Should have paid that fucking parking ticket.
Yeah. I do like I like his arc. Fabarian's arc is great. I actually love him after the at first I was like, I feel bad I don't remember you, but also I love your arc and where you end up. You are and then there's I forget his name. The one with the iron jaw.
Oh god damn it.
Or mask rather.
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't know what the
But I remember what happened to him, because he's the most recent one that Vader fucked over, which is the droid arc, the Dark Droids arc, when Vader destroys that ship because it's infected.
I don't know that guy's name.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, damn.
Hold on, I can pull it up. Well, for some reason it doesn't have their names. Except for Tontazo and Sly. Anyways, their plan is very interesting, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one, they're working with Vader, who also has the the reason that let's talk about Lieutenant
Pride.
Yeah, Lieutenant Pride, who becomes Emmerich Pride. Like he's the guy in episode 9 who where he's like super loyal to the Sith, right? And we kind of see the radicalization of him in this comic. We kind of see how he gets there. Although at some point he goes from super radicalized Imperial to pirate, because let's not forget Shadow of the Sith, where he's a pirate for a little bit. Yep. And then he finds out, oh, the Sith are still around. Cool.
Hell yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah. Because he's like, I know about Exegol. I've been there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Saw Ochi again.
yeah, we saw Ochi again. But no, this that's later. That's the next volume. But this volume, Sly's kind of working with Vader because they're like trying to set up everything, so they have to re-get the supplies needed to make Tantaza's super weapon.
Yep.
Because the plan is to basically make the super weapon, power up Tantaza's armor, and then we don't know the twist yet of why they need the armor powered up, right?
Yeah.
And then we also know that we need the battle droids that Coruscanti like industrialist
Yeah.
was making.
God, I saw him and I immediately was like, I don't like you. Don't say it.
Don't say
whatever you're thinking. Don't. I'm gonna use what limited social awareness I have and veto this one.
You already know who I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Not this time.
Elon. Fuck it. Am I wrong?
No. He does have that weird little...
Elon Musk. It's Elon Musk.
It's the, like...
The man is even building droids. Except, unlike Elon's, these actually work.
You know, yeah. God. But like I don't like how rich man.
Yeah.
I did not like him.
Well, it's okay. Our good boy Fabarian deals with that.
He gets into fucking.
Okay, so set up for this is that Fabarian after the Vader thing, everybody that has run into Vader gets demoted.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why they joined the schism. Well, they join the schism and then they get the demotion because Sly's like, "Hey, I'm going to demote you," but that's like a cover.
Yeah.
Because if I don't demote you, then I have to kill you. And so...
And I can't... You don't destroy the things that are useful to you.
Yeah. And so... Fabarian basically becomes... what's his name from Andor? When he's working in the ISB, like, ticket off, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, he's in the ISB still, but he's, like, all the way down to, like, computer, like... reports. He's doing reports.
Mm-hmm.
And basically his upper is like, hey, don't give that guy tickets. Remove all those tickets. Because if you don't, then he's going to get mad and retaliate. Because we need that guy.
Yeah.
And he leaves one on purpose. Mm-hmm. Because that's part of Sly's plan. Because it gets Fabarian fired, but also creates an issue for this guy. Right? And so then they break into the factory. And Fabarian gets into a heated debate with this guy where this guy's like, hey, you could just work with me, right? Yeah. Because, like...
Oh, important context for this confrontation between Fabarian and Star Wars Elon. Star Wars Elon has his hand above a button that will not only destroy the factory, but the not millions,
but like
but
hundreds,
people that,
yeah.
Innocent people.
Innocent people that live in the building, that, like, within this factory building. Because it's like a... oh my god, it makes it even worse. He's got like an old school like town, like worker town.
Yeah.
Like a mining town essentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he basically is like, yeah, I'm gonna pull this trigger, which will be safe if you let me hit this trigger, and I can get rid of everybody outside. And he's like, wait, you mean everybody? Everybody. Well, just you die then.
And he's like, do you think you can get that shot off before this happens? And Barrett's like, probably.
And then he shoots him like 3 times.
Just to make sure.
Our good boy. He did. He even feels guilty about it. See, because later on he's having a talk, he talks to Pride about it. And he's like, yeah, I didn't like that I did that.
And Pride's like, what are you worried about? You did it in service to our Lord.
You did it for the Empire.
And Brandon's like, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was a good call. also, I was feeling pretty vengy at that moment.
Which once again, like, just proves that Fabarian is good boy.
Yeah.
He's like,
Pay your fucking parking ticket.
like he did the right thing. Like I would argue that he did make the right call with that.
Yeah.
But also, the fact that he feels bad about it still means that he's got a moral compass.
Yeah, the problem is explicitly that for him.
Mm-hmm. It's I got a moral compass, so like,
And I'm in a shit situation that I can't actually leave.
yep. And so I really like his. Oh man, I love his arc. But yeah, and so they have to figure out how they got to find a way to get back to Exegol. So they get like so now they've got a droid army. They need and Vader also has those brainwashed rebels that were cyborgs. Which is what Pride saw and what started his. That's what I meant to say earlier. That's what started his like love for Vader because he saw Vader do that.
Take out the Mar Corps.
Yeah, and like make them serve him, and he was like, "Oh my God, my new Lord and Savior."
Yeah, Gross out there having a fucking religious experience.
And so that's, I, you know what? If I was Pride, I kind of get it.
Like, meanwhile,
you're either gonna have one of two realizations if you ever saw Vader in real life do something like his actions.
Oh fuck!
You either think he is God or hell incarnate.
Yeah, I was explaining this to like our Chris.
Yeah.
And Scott, I was like, yeah, depending on how you look at it, Vader is the Jason Voorhees of Star Wars.
Yeah, he kind of just shows up and he does his thing and then disappears.
Does his thing and leaves.
Yep.
Like, I was like,
it's why there are some people in the fandom that want a Vader horror film. I don't know if I need
I
that.
don't want a Vader horror film. I want a Vader horror game.
My problem is if they did it in the current gaming market, it would be another 4v1 type game, and I don't need another one of those. I don't mind the ones we've got, but we don't need more.
Yeah.
It's why I hope that Scream game is still happening. That's not one, because it's supposed to be a story-based game. So, I hope that's still the case.
Yeah.
Going off topic a little bit there, but back on topic.
Circling back on topic.
But yeah, I'm trying to remember where Volume 8 ends and Volume 9 begins, because I don't want to...
They have to...
Did they do the Exegol thing in Volume 8, or is that Volume 9?
I'm not sure.
In that case, we can cut back then and talk about Star Wars Volume 9, talk about the finale for that. God, I love this finale. It's so we get pre-episode 7, Force Awakens, Luke and Ben.
Yeah. Okay.
But post Mando stuff, because it, you know, a lot. So it's pretty near to. I'd say it's closer to the Force Awakens than not.
Yeah.
Like it's and so so Luke is like, hey, you're about to pass your trials and be a Jedi. I got to tell you a story first.
Yep.
And he's like, because you're going to become either just a full-blown Jedi who's going to serve and continue to work with us, or because you're the first to pass my school, you're going to become a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So this story is important. And so...
Long ago.
Yeah. Ben basically is like, you're going to tell me a story about you and Dad and Lando, Uncle Lando, and Chewie. And he's like, well, actually, this is why your dad is still frozen in carbonite. Yeah. Which I love that it canonically they acknowledge that he's a Han sickle. Because Ben is like, yeah, the Han sickle.
He's like, yeah, your dad doesn't really talk about all the shit that he gave up for the rebellion.
Because your dad is not a man of like to express his emotions. He's a good guy. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like he actually does have these emotions. He just doesn't know how to express them. And so
Like, he jokes about...
the bad, and then like doesn't talk about like
it's like, nah, that was actually fucking really traumatizing.
yeah.
Anyhow, Hodsicle, right?
And so, I do like that they acknowledge that, and then I also like that they acknowledge the thing that the fans of this comic hate the most, which is how much has happened in a single year.
Yeah. God damn.
Because Kylo's like, or Ben, rather, at this point, is like, how did a bounty hunter war happen, as well as like the droids thing, and all of that happened in 1 year? And Luke's like, look, it was a time of things changing. We were going through it. The galaxy was in turmoil.
The galaxy was on the precipice of change, and everyone wanted to carve out a little spot for themselves.
And honestly, I feel like that's almost a good answer for like this.
It is.
The problem is it does. When you compare 2015 to 2020, it still feels weird. But at the same time, because 2015 only really had 2 major crossover events. They had a Vader down, and then they had, which was the crossover with Vader, and then they had an after one, the Screaming Citadel. And then that was it for crossovers. So it was interesting. So it's like, that's why I say it almost feels like a good answer to what to all that, but
Yeah. But the main subject of this story is
almost a ghost story.
almost, yeah.
Because Luke's like, yeah, so your mom, Uncle Lando, Chewie, and I were trying to figure out a solution to what we were gonna do about the Empire, and I was, being a young, reckless Jedi, went back to the mushroom planet to go see if maybe I could get some advice. Because you've seen the Jedi text, Ben. I got the Jedi text from there, so I thought maybe they'd give me more information. And instead we got Aslan Rail.
Instead, I got a crazy old man with his eyes ripped out and blood leaking everywhere.
Who said, "You want a super weapon?"
Pretty much. Aslan Rel hands Luke.
Well, he doesn't give him because they still have to find it.
Yeah, they still have to find it.
He's like, "Here's where you can find a super weapon.
Pretty much, yeah.
I left it there.
I left it like the Green Goblin mask for you to find."
I don't know if it worked because I'm just a memory of this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to him after he left here."
Yeah, because like the planet
Yeah, it only
absorbs your psych
it only
profile
knows
at the
your
time.
it only knows your current memories. It's a pretty awesome library if you can get out.
If you can get out. The planet does not like it when you leave.
Luke's like, "I don't know. I was looking for an Elzar man." He's like, "Oh, that I'm gonna call him a slur." It's almost. It feels like it the way he's like that fop, and I'm like, "You called him that?" That feels like the way I feel like the way I imagine Aslan saying it feels like he called Elzar a slur. And that may have been actually Aslan. That may not have been the Mushroom Planet. That may have been Aslan. That may have been how he actually felt about Elzar. I don't know. But that makes me curious of where the High Republic comics is going, by the way. Are we going to see that weapon? Because remember, the writer of this comic is Charles Soule.
Yeah.
So is Charles, are you trying to put this weapon into the High Republic stuff too? Is Aslan going to set this thing off?
Oh, God.
If that is the... If we get that before the finale of this...
Yeah, because all he'd have to do is
Because I would assume it would be to target. Who would it target?
the Nameless.
I guess the Nameless Blood, yeah.
I don't think he used it.
Well, we haven't seen any Nameless that I know of since. Have we seen Nameless after?
Shri Karakarai and the Nameless are the same thing.
No, but I mean, have we seen them past the High Republic era?
No, we haven't.
So they might have used it on them.
Yeah, on them, and I was like, but he can't, because those have impacted Vernestra and so many other characters. So unless the Jedi get wiped out in like a big,
Which we know that's not,
which isn't going to happen.
And he couldn't use it on. Well, that doesn't mean he didn't activate it, because we do find there is a solution
There is a loophole.
Yeah, there's a loophole. My other guess of who it would be activated on is the Eye himself.
Yeah. I'm like,
Markion, who also would cause the death of so many people to get to him, because he has also impacted so many lives. Okay,
we should explain how the box works.
Yes, so they have to break into they have to basically go to an ice planet and kind of break into an Imperial facility to get to it, because it's basically at a planet that's on lockdown, because the Imperials are like, hey, there's resources here, because underneath all this ice are ancient cities, and so
and they're frozen and preserved,
and so we can use all that. And so they have to break into that, and then they get this box that it very much presents the that movie, The Box, where you hit the button and you get money or whatever, but then it kills a loved one sort of situation, where it's like this is a creepy box. And basically the box is like, hey, if you feed it the blood of whoever you want it to kill, it will kill them. And so C-3PO translates that, and they're like, okay, well then I guess we need to get Palpatine's blood. So the solution to that is to then break into a historical building, essentially, a records building, really, a records building on Naboo, where Palpatine's blood would have been kept as a sample because he served as a senator.
Good to know, Pixie.
Yeah, good to know. And so like they're like, that's where we got to get Palpatine's blood, and so they go there because they're like, well, he never officially stopped being senator, so maybe they kept it, right?
Yeah.
Because when
they have it on file.
Because when you in your term as senator, they destroy it.
Yeah. But because he became
elected chancellor and then became emperor, like, because he went from senator, chancellor, emperor, with no breaks in between.
Yeah. So they're like, maybe the file is still on record.
So they go to get the file. Lando specifically goes in because he's got an Imperial officer uniform. Immediately gets clocked for not being an Imperial, because they're like, I called you lieutenant, and that's a captain insignia.
Also, it's from the Navy. But the ranks, the insignias are also wrong. Secondly,
you've had requisition forms.
You'd have had a shit ton of requisition forms, because the Empire never does anything without requisition forms.
Yeah, and so
but
like, he pulls out a gun, or he's about to, and then she's about to hit the alarm, and she's like, well, hold on now, I actually want to help you, because fuck Palpatine. He's kind of. I've been his
op for years.
She's like, I've been here for so long. I've been serving in this records building since before the Empire, and guess what? I've been hiding the blood, because they
figured some bullshit might need this.
Because it turns out they did try to destroy that. In fact, no, they did. They did destroy it, except for this one sample that I preserved. Gotta love the old ladies for coming in and going, fuck that guy. And so she hands it to Lando, and Lando's like, okay. And then now the moral ambiguity of this begins, and they're like, okay, so if we do this, Are we the bad guys?
Yeah. Chewie doesn't give a fuck.
Chewie just takes it out of their hand, pours it on the box, and goes, done. And then we get, like, the most impassioned speech ever from Chewbacca about why he did this.
Yeah.
Coming from C-3PO, because C-3PO has to translate. Because Chewbacca's like, I know that y'all understand a rough translation of what I say all the time. I need to make sure y'all understand every word I'm saying clearly. So C-3PO translate this because I want my direct words spoken. Like, Chewie's like, there is going to be no misunderstanding why I did this. And then he, like, explains, my people have been slaves since the Empire started. I haven't seen my wife or my son since we got this thing started. I'm out for blood at this point.
And the main issue, come to find out.
And what's interesting is, like, everybody else is like, you know what? That was a hard choice, but we get why you made it. And then, unfortunately, we get the genie turnaround of why this thing was bad.
Yeah. Anyone that the Emperor has
affected
personally, because it uses magic bullshit to track down.
Yeah, because basically Luke, everybody's like, okay, well, how long is it going to take? And Luke uses the Force to, like, interact with the box, because he's like, it doesn't really work on science, so let me force magic and see what it's doing. And it's, like, tracking down, like, going down the line, trying to find Palpatine. And it's just, like, tracking people that have been affected by him. And so, as you were saying.
Yeah. And they're kind of coming to the realization of, oh, shit.
Yeah, because 3PO reads more about what the box does on the box. Turns out, everybody that it identifies while trying to get to its target also dies.
Will be killed. And Palpatine is the Emperor, so that's a lot of bodies. And it doesn't say that it has to have been a positive or negative interaction.
It just has to be a personal interaction. So, like, we see that it's specifically people that Palpatine has met. Like, so, like, we were talking about this in the car. We were like, well, it's probably not going to be any of our main characters that would die, but that wouldn't stop them from caring about this situation, right? Like, Luke, Leia, and them wouldn't die. But also, the positive of it would be, like, Lando sees it as well. Sure, a lot of people will die to get to it, right? To get to him. But as it gets closer and closer, it's going to be all these upper bureaucrats and people that are scum anyways, right? And so, like, because that was another question that they were worried about with doing this was, well, if it just killed Palpatine, like, before they knew what it did, they were like, if it just kills Palpatine, then that doesn't stop, like, Vader or somebody else rising up the ranks, taking back over and just running things as normal, right? But now Lando's like, nah, this gets rid of the corruption completely.
Wholesale.
Yeah. But also at the risk of so many other lives that may not be corrupt.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that Leia and Luke and the others have with it. And Luke especially, who is, like, reading what it does, and realizes, oh, it's found, like, thousands of lives already.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't found Palpatine.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, how do we turn it off? And 3PO's like, well, there's no off switch. So Luke tries to pull a Cal Kestis and lightsaber it.
This, much like trying to strike the one ring with a hammer, that shit didn't work.
Yeah.
He gets the same treatment.
Yeah, because he flies back too, yeah. And so what they end up doing is Luke is like, okay, I need to go talk to Aslan Rail again, see if there's a loophole here.
Yeah.
And so they go back to the Mushroom Planet together. This time they're like, okay, we got R2 ready to pull you up if we need to. We're ready. And so, like, everybody's here, and Lando's like, I'm just going to watch from a distance, which is fair.
When it was like, I don't fucking like this place, man.
Because from what you've told me,
It's a case of, why do we keep coming back here?
And so Luke goes down there. He's like, I want to talk to Aslan Rel. And the spirit's like, well, no, this time you get to talk to Lor Santeca. Which Ben, being told the story, is like, oh, is this before you met him? And he's like, yeah, this is before I met Lor. Because by this time, Ben and Luke and Lor had already been doing adventures within the narrative. So that's why Ben was like, oh, you know him? And Luke's like, not yet.
I didn't know him then.
So that was actually a very interesting thing about the Force and the galaxy and how it just kind of... There's chance meetings like that.
Yeah.
And so...
he's like, I need the oldest body you have.
And Aslan appears and is like, you can't find a... You're not allowed to have a loophole. And Luke's like, but I need one. He's like, but there is none. And he's like, Luke's like, but what if I found another body that was already dead and used that? And Aslan's like, oh shit, you found the loophole. Get him!
Yeah.
And it's even funnier because Luke had already pointed out earlier in the issue all the dead bodies that had been in the mushroom thing. I think Aslan pointed to them actually the first time. And Aslan's like, look at all these dead bodies of people who stayed. Or whatever. Or somebody did.
Something like that, yeah.
And so...
Do you think that planet is dead now?
Probably not.
No, yeah, I guess it wouldn't be.
Because it's been around. I mean, if it lived all the way from the High Republic to the original trilogy, it's...
No, I mean because of the box.
No, because...
Yeah, that's...
No, because we get the answer in the comic of what happened. Because... So...
Because the answer...
The answer is it immediately just went, oh, we found the body, it's already dead. Shut off. Like, it didn't search at all. It didn't really search.
Yeah.
Because, so what happens is he pulls a body out from the mushroom swamp, we'll call it. And so he brings it up, and they're like, at first they think Luke died, because the first thing they see is the skeleton, and they're like, oh my god, what happened?
Shit.
Lando probably like freaking out going, I told you! I told you we shouldn't go in there!
It looked like... Yeah.
And then Luke pops up and he's like,
it.
false alarm!
Okay, quick, shove it in the box.
So yeah, they take a bone and sample and they feed it to the box. And then the box just goes, oh, he's already dead. And just shuts down without killing anybody.
Whew.
So yes, the mushroom planet is still alive because they tell us, oh, yeah, boop. It just shuts down. Auto shutdown.
Crisis averted.
And so then that's the end of that. And so we go back to the framing device where Ben's like, okay, what's the lesson? And Luke's like, what, you didn't like the story? All right, fine, here's the lesson.
Yeah.
He's like, can't people enjoy just a good story? And Ben's like, no, there's a lesson. Luke's like, yes, there's a lesson, but you can enjoy the story too.
Ben, Uncle, that's not how parables work.
And so he's like, look, okay, fine. The lesson is, don't become evil to fight evil. That's the lesson.
Yep.
And then Ben's like, so did that really happen? Or is this just a parable? And Luke's like,
who knows?
And then, yeah, that's the end. I liked it. I felt like that's a good wrap up to it, because the last issues of the comics tend to not be like wrapping up arcs, because that's really what the last volume did. Because we didn't even talk about Zara coming back in the last volume.
No, yeah, we did not.
We didn't even talk about in volume 8 of Zara coming back and Leia dealing with like feeling personal guilt over stuff.
Yeah.
Because Leia feels guilt over Alderaan and everything, and so we find out that the Alderanians are still alive, and like from the Leia comic, which we haven't talked about on the show yet, but they are missing, and so Leia and Luke and Yvonne go, "Hey, we'll go look into that." And Luke's like, "I'll go with you," and Leia, "You should go because maybe this will help you feel better," because she's having nightmares about Tarkin and Vader and blowing up Alderaan and feeling like it's because she didn't make the right calls.
Yeah.
And so we get Commander Zara back from earlier in the 2020 run, who turns out survived because Leia didn't kill her. And she's like, "I did lose my arm, though, but I got a pirate gang out of it.
Yeah.
And we're going to now capture you and basically sell you for ransom to the Empire and maybe get some good faith back, and maybe I can even become a Moff."
Yeah.
Does not go as planned because Yvonne escapes, and she puts Luke in Luke is in an escape pod, and so she shoots a little cable to him and is like, to her pirate gang, is like, "Hey, whatever you do, don't actually pull him in. We don't need that in our ship."
Turns out,
Luke can just pull himself in.
Fucking crazy.
Luke just pulls himself in. Luke's just like, "I'm coming in," and then they're like, the pirate gang's like, "We're not winning. Bye." And
They'd make the smart choice.
And Zara's like, "You cowards!"
Basically.
And then the rebellion fleet shows up with Yvonne, and then Zara's like, "I guess I'll try to escape." And then after thinking it, she's like, "You know what? Actually, point the ship at Leia and Luke. Maybe I can blow them up in the process." And unfortunately for her, though, is the rebellion was targeting her and Leia and Luke were going to let her leave too. They were like, "Look, we don't need to kill you if you're leaving. If you're leaving, maybe you learned a lesson to stop messing with us."
Yeah.
And then she turns around to shoot them, and they're like, "Fine, shoot her." And so the rebellion kills her.
Important note: Zara has stabbed Leia.
Yeah, Zara stabbed Leia because Leia fought back, and Zara's like, "No, you don't get to fight me. I just stab you."
Yeah. I'm gonna say it. Luke embarrasses Zara during their brief encounter.
Big time.
Yeah.
Zara's like, "I'm gonna make a show of it. I'm the next Tarkin," and Luke's like, "No,
Okay, and I killed him too.
I blew that motherfucker up."
He's like, "Do you know how many more scary fucking things I have dealt with since then?"
And so, yeah.
You're at the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, but yeah. So I forgot to recap that. I knew it was there. I just forgot where in the order of the events it was.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that was really our wrap up of things, right? Because we also leave off with the idea of, oh, Lando has a plan. Oh, that's in the Vader comics. That's why No, is it in the first part of Volume 9 of the Star Wars run? I forget where it is.
So I know it. I think it happens after the trial.
Yeah, it's after the trial. But Volume 9 is strictly just... No, it's that stuff, and then it becomes the final issue. That's right. Volume 9 was the Leia arc, the Zara Leia arc, and then the final issue. That's right. It's like a 2-3 issue comic for Volume 9. It's not a long comic. Just because there was not a lot of issues left to cover everything that needed to be. Vader. Wrapping up, though. So we find out what the plan is.
The plan.
Break into Exegol. Leave Robo Guy there behind because he hates the Empire. He hates the Sith, specifically Vader, so much that the Sith that live on Exegol are like, good, you hate him too. And so they trust him and they take the shipment, which is actually just everybody else, including Vader. And the plan is, why do I keep forgetting his name?
There's Pride.
Yeah. Pride's like, "Hey, you could have had me do that," and they're like, "No, you like Vader too much for that to have worked."
Yeah, they're like, "We needed someone with hate in their heart."
And so They get to Exegol, and the plan is steal the Kyber crystal, so that it can be used to like make Vader's staff and shield work better.
Yep.
And then on top of that, they're going to use that power they're going to use the power of the planet that they drained the energy of to power up those tools even more, the Kyber weapons even more, so they're even more powerful. Now, we don't learn why yet of why they want that, but we know that's the plan. And so Vader pretty much goes off without a hitch, other than, they kind of do alert the guards, the Sith, and they learn that they're hit there, but doesn't really mean anything. They get their asses whooped easily, to the point that it gets so that they're losing so bad. They're like, we need to call on the Eldritch being that guards Exegol.
Yeah, like, we need a Superhuman.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever its name is.
Some shit. It's a.
Like I said, it's an Eldritch being.
It's a Cthulhu monster.
Yeah, and so they call upon it to fight, and it loses.
It loses.
But then the betrayal happens.
Yeah, as expected.
Because it was a heist movie. Heist movies always have the betrayal, right? And so we got to the part of the heist movie where the betrayal happens, and it turns out, everybody here is gonna just leave Vader, the droid that also kisses Vader's ass, and then Pride behind. And then they're like, "See ya, suckers! We're gonna go kill Luke."
Meanwhile, Sabe, who has tracked Luke down.
Oh yeah, with the help of Warba, is trying to figure out, is Luke a good Jedi or a bad Jedi? I had to.
Yeah.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Well, I'm not a witch at all. Are you a good Sith or a bad Sith? This is basically what Sabe's doing. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
And Luke's just like, I'm not a Sith at all. And so, they, she purposefully angers him by kidnapping Warba, and Luke's like, what the... Basically, if you played the Spider-Man 2 on PS2, when you're on top of a car and you just go... when you're fighting the thugs that are in a car in Spider-Man 2, and you just... It's just that.
And he's like... At the end of it all,
Sabe's like, oh, well, maybe he is a Sith.
It's like...
No, you just pissed him off. What do you mean? And Luke's like, are we supposed to be perfect? Is that what you expect?
What was your goal here, lady? She's like, oh, I just wanted to see how angry you'd get. He's like,
well, pretty damn angry.
Amount.
But also, now we're good if you stop doing this.
Yeah.
And she arguably does not, because she tries to shoot at him a couple times.
And he just is like, okay, fuck this.
Are you done? Are you done?
He cuts her.
He's like, are you done?
He cuts the blaster pistol in half and is like, alright, that's enough.
So eventually she's like, okay, look. And with some talking down, thanks to Warbo, they're like, hey, Luke is the good guy. And in fact, I'm actually the one that's the traitor.
Yeah.
And Warbo's like, I'm actually the one that...
And they're like, yeah, I got this, transmission beacon.
Yeah, I haven't used it yet.
I haven't used it, and I wanted to see what would happen, and I am deciding actively not to use it.
And Luke's like, well, I'm deciding for you to use it. And so he uses the Force to use it to call, because he's like, Vader already knows I'm here, and if you don't turn me in, he's going to kill you, so...
Might as well get this out of the way.
And so, using the tracking beacon that he just established, that's how Sly and them find out where to go get Luke. Because the plan that Sly has is to... Sly's like, you ever hear of the rule of two?
Basically.
I'm gonna be the second. And so I'm gonna kill Luke and Vader. Because originally... Because, the whole thing that's going on right now is Vader's being tested, right? And the whole test is... Palpatine is trying to decide, well, is it the rule of two gonna follow me and Vader? Me and Luke? Vader and Luke? who's it gonna be, Vader? You get to decide. And Sly is like, actually, what if we get rid of the Vader and Luke altogether, and then it's you and me? It was basically the plan.
And Palpatine's like, all right,
I'll let you take a shot. I'll let you take a shot at it.
Because fuck it, why not?
Palpatine's like, at the very least, I'll be entertained.
Yeah.
I'll make some popcorn.
We'll see what happens.
I just imagine Palpatine using lightning to pop his popcorn. Just
Goofy uses for powers.
look, fun uses for powers is always fun to think about. But yeah, so that's the plan, and that's why they need they steal the staff with the kyber and the shield, and they're gonna blast Luke away. Is what the plan is.
Yeah.
Using the power of the planet that they drained, and so, well, they haven't drained the planet yet, but they're going to. In fact, they do. They drained the planet that Luke and them are on. In order to power the armor, because the armor starts to be a little bit overused, as does the kyber, because the kyber is not shaped correctly into the staff, and it keeps backfiring.
Vader's talk droid is like, hey, you guys need to cut that properly.
And they keep using it instead.
Yeah.
And so
he's like, the backdraft could be fake.
Okay. And that's why Vader gets knocked out. That's why they were able to betray him so easily.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, Vader would have beat them, but because he did that, nope. And so that becomes a problem as well with Tantaza, because she's in the armor and she keeps electrocuting her armor. And she's like, I'm too tired. And at this point, Fabian's already been shot because he's like tried to get Luke with the droid army, failed, got friendly fired to where his leg got blown off.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't realize his leg was blown off, and then when Luke comments on it, I looked at the frame again. I was like, "Oh, his leg is gone! Holy!"
That man ain't got no leg.
His leg is gone. At least it was quick.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Fabarian. That shit had to hurt.
Yeah.
And he
did not scream at all.
Bro didn't give a fuck.
Oh. But yeah, so Luke's like, nah, I'm good, because like Luke is Luke, so he's trying to save Fabarian.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we gotta get you out of here. He's saving Private Ryaning him. He's like, we gotta get out.
Meanwhile, Mora's like talking to Tantaza, and she's like, also the Mar Corps are there.
Yeah, because they agreed to work together because they were like, oh, we gotta get Luke.
Yeah.
So Vader doesn't. And then now they're like, oh shit, we gotta save Luke from you guys.
Yeah.
Oh no, they work with Vader. That's what it is. Because Vader teams up with them. They're not there yet.
Temporarily.
They're not there yet.
They do arrive.
They do arrive eventually. They help with Vader because they make a deal because they're like, oh, Sly's gonna kill your hero, and I need him alive. You need him alive. So for now, temporary team up. Yeah, and so Sly is eventually Tantaza's like, oh, I'm tired.
Okay.
And
you want to take a spin in this shit?
Yeah,
it's starting to hurt.
Because Sly's like, somebody else gets in the suit, and the other guy, and they're like, well, our other guy is down there, so he can't. So, you want it? And Sly actually does, because they're like, because at this point they're starting to not believe in the Schism Imperial, because they're like, this was just Sly's power grab. Like, everybody's caught on to it at this point. And Sly's like, well, shit, if I don't do it, then they're going to betray me.
So I guess I better.
And so she gets in the suit. And that's when the Mar Corps and Vader arrive. Because Sly is like, all right, I'm going to shoot him. And as she actually does have a target on Luke, Vader and the Mar Corps come in just in time for Vader to use the Force to stop it. And basically force bubble Luke.
Yeah. For the briefest of moments.
Yeah. And then we get like a showdown of them all fighting each other, and Luke and Fabarian and Mar Corps and Sabe and War were going, we're out of here.
They're like, fuck this.
Let them deal with their own. Unfortunately, the planet itself gets sacrificed, as part of that, with them draining the life from it, because Sly does keep threatening to do that if Luke didn't show himself, and Luke's like, all right, and that's why Sly had such a dead target on Luke, because Luke's like, I'm not gonna let you do that. Unfortunately, it still happens.
Yeah.
But while it's happening, our buddies Kitster and Wald, who have been recaptured, by the way, at this point, are like, oh, we're going to use this opportunity to escape.
Yeah.
And we learn later in, like, because they do, like, a bunch of codas to this. In one of the codas, we learn that Kitster and Wald stole a bunch of the, like, charged up power.
Yeah.
Like, the actual bars of power that the thing makes when it drains the life. And so they stole a bunch of those on the way out, so that way they could give them to people that needed them. And also make a little bit of money. Because they wanted to make money, and so that way they could free all the slaves, specifically their friends that we know from episode 1, all the kids and from Phantom Menace. We'll talk more about that when we get to more of the codas, but that one was relevant because it's happening. And so, eventually, Vader wins. Sly gets their butt whooped easily.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Palpatine shows up at this moment and is like, oh, actually, no, Sabe stays because she watches this. Because she's like, oh, I got to stay because I think I need to for Vader. Unfortunately, Sabe's plan does not quite work, which is try to one more time to appeal to his nature, his good nature. Doesn't work, especially because Palpatine's now arrived and is like, good, hate me. And Vader's like, I do hate you.
Yeah, a lot, actually.
And so, Vader finally gives in. And it seems while he gets this power, we talked about this in the car, he's weaker still. Like, this is a Vader who is... Because after all this, they get back, and Vader doesn't say a word to anybody. And he doesn't threaten anybody. He doesn't do any of his, like, even if he doesn't say things, he'll still give you a look. He doesn't do that. Even as they're talking about him in front of him.
Yeah.
Like, Sly and Ochi start talking about, oh, yeah. Ochi's like, oh, you thought that would have worked, didn't you? And Sly's like, well, actually, it did more than you thought, though. And they kind of, like, Sly kind of gives a comment about Vader, and Vader doesn't do anything about it. This is a broken Vader.
Yeah. That's that I got all that power, and almost everything went right, and it still wasn't enough.
Well, even that, and it's not only that, it's also, I now have affirmed my pact with the devil, essentially.
Yeah.
But I've got nothing... I've got all this power, but nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
Because the thing that I wanted...
is my son. Really.
That's really... It's really... I can't get him because I'm in this fucking pact.
And so... It's very interesting, and I was talking to you about this in the car. I think that I think the way that this comic sets up is a great way of setting us up with a Vader who will be easier for Luke to redeem. Because this is a Vader that I think has now seen the full cost. Whereas, like, Vader had an idea of the cost. Like, he's always kind of understood that there is a cost. But now he's fully in. He now fully knows the cost and what continuing down this path means. Whereas any Vader before now, I think, would have been impossible for Luke to turn back. And that's kind of affirmed. I mean, that's kind of affirmed with Empire Strikes Back. The whole point is that he makes the offer to Luke to join him because Vader doesn't see the depth of what he's in yet. Whereas now he does. Now he understands, oh, this is a pact that with the devil. Like, he understood, oh, I'm a Sith, I do evil things. He didn't understand that Palpatine's literally the devil. I think it creates a new outlook for Vader. And he honestly doesn't put up with as much of Ochi's shenanigans either, because, like, we get one of the codas is Ochi kind of goofing around, going, "Hey, come on, let's go back to just killing people like we always do. That's what you love, right? That makes you happy." And Vader kind of kicks Ochi's ass instead.
Yeah.
Whereas any other time, yeah, Vader would have gone for it. He would have killed the kids. That Ochi was like, "Let's kill some kids."
OG is like, there were some slaves there.
Yeah.
They
When they
important
retrieve,
to the
yeah,
mission,
because
so I let them live.
because Ochi retrieves the power battery units, I guess
Yeah.
we'll call them.
The little power cells.
The power cells, and like he kills the marauders who were robbing Kit Sternwald and them at the time, because Kit Sternwald were not smart about it. They were flashing those things, and you live on Tatooine.
Where, to be honest, getting robbed is an expected part of the day.
Yeah, but the good
You
news
have
is
to take that into account for your walks.
yeah, the good news is they did free their friends, and they actually start reminiscing and going, "Man, where's Anakin? I wish he was here. This would have made it better."
They're like, well, we did hear he became a Jedi, so
I
and then
imagine
they realize, oh,
but then they're also like, but also, there's no way they would have got him. He's tricky.
mm-hmm.
Trying to convince themselves.
We really hope because I don't think it's public knowledge that Anakin Skywalker.
No, it's
at
not.
the time. They're like, so for all they know, they're like, we really hope our friend didn't die in the Great Jedi Purge.
Yeah. And so, Ochi kills the like thieves, the bandits that try to take the power cells from Kit Sternwald, and then is like, "All right, see ya. Thanks for the power cells, chumps." Essentially. And then he goes back to Vader and he's like, "I left them alive. They were talking about some Jedi Anakin. You need me to go back and mess them up?" And Vader's like,
No,
"Nah.
just leave it."
You're good." Which also, once again, leans into my idea of this new Vader. This Vader that's, like, this is a Vader who's more willing to be lenient. Because, once again, even when he ran into Kit Sternwald the first time, that Vader would have been willing to kill them, even though they were his friends. Sure, he was teaming up with them during that arc, but he would have been willing to kill them if he needed to.
And then Sabe goes and she's like, okay, well, I've tested Luke.
Let me test
Go test Leia.
Who does? And Leia's like, "Why do you keep talking about this Padme bitch?"
Who the fuck is that?
Yeah, because Leia does not know her. She knows she's adopted, but I don't think she knows about Padme.
Who, yeah. It's just like, fuck are you talking about some Naboo senator for?
Yeah. And so Sabe is like, "Okay,
Alright, just
you seem fine.
it's fine.
You're definitely like you are strong in your beliefs, so I cannot change you." Cool.
Alright, cool. And Sabe went somewhere.
Yeah.
Let that woman have her peace.
Yeah, I am curious what happens to Sabe post return, because that means she's like alive, probably hanging out post return. That's an interesting story there.
She needs a nap.
I would love for a Sabe and Leia meet up again afterwards, after Leia now knows about her mom being Padme, because that would be an interesting...
Oh, yeah, that would be an interesting...
Same thing with Luke around, because Luke almost figures it out. Luke is so close, because Sabe mentions it, and Luke's like, "What?" Like, Luke's... Because Sabe's like, "Oh yeah, I've remind Vader of somebody, and that's why." And Luke's like, "Who do you remind him of?" Like, Luke comes like this close to figuring out.
Luke's doing the math in his head.
Yeah. It's that meme of all the math equation of like trying to put it all together, but in the case of Luke, he just doesn't quite get it at the end. He's like, "Ah." But it's also because he had to leave.
Yeah.
Because Sabe forced him to leave. She's like, "You gotta leave.
No.
You got 30 minutes. 30 minutes? 30 minutes. 30? 30.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have talked about this for 2.5 hours. Oh.
Sabe strikes me as much like Kira.
Mm-hmm.
You are too well known for all of the like scumbag shit you did, so you need to go live a quiet life. It's mandatory for you now.
Yeah, Kira and Sabe post 6, that post Return of the Jedi. Those are the lives I want to see. I'm curious, but we have talked about we have been doing the podcast 2.5 hours today. We are almost at like hitting our record of we've had a 3-hour podcast.
I think we've had a 3-hour one before.
So we should wrap this up. I give all these like 8s across the board, except the finales for both of them. I give 9s.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
So, Volume 8, 8, Volume 9, Volume 9, 9. Because I think they did really well at wrapping all these up. I feel satisfied.
Yeah.
I feel good that these are over. I'm curious where we're going next. I know the next things we're really leading up to that we get to read, because they've been coming out, are the Battle of Jakku stuff. We're going to get to see the real end of the war, right? So, because the Battle of Endor is technically the end of the war, but the real end of the war was the Battle of Jakku. And so, that's currently, like, Siege from Jakku, Battle of Jakku, whatever they're calling all of them. That's the comics that are coming out right now. And so, we're going to get those, and those are going to truly wrap up the 2020 era, but these wrap up, like, the actual comic runs, right? Whereas these are, like, mini-series that are giving us a little bit of a breather before they start their next series, right? Plus, we're getting the Jedi miniseries, which is going to take us to the prequel era, which is going to be pre-Episode 1, which I'm always down for pre-Episode 1 content. Pre-Episode 1, pre-Episode 2. I'm good with that. And then anything post-Episode 6 at this point. That's really where I'm at in terms of what I want to see in content. Anything you want to leave off on?
I'm good, man.
All right, well, thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to like, follow, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, depending where you're watching. Let me pull up because I usually have my little script. And it's throwing me off that I don't right now. I've been your host, Caleb. You can find us at Escape Reality Films on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok, as well as Blue Sky. Thank you, Pixie, for joining, as always. You can also show your support for us by joining our Patreon, which is at Escape Reality Films. Shout out to Jennifer Brantley.
Woo!
There you can watch our YouTube content before it's publicly available. Also, be sure to check out our Discord, which is also linked wherever you're watching. Thank you, Pixie. I don't have that button still. Don't have that command there. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't have the command still. But yeah, so that's where you can find us. If you join our Discord, that's how you join our community, hang out with us. We do fun things. Last night we played D&D. Pretty late, but we did. It was fun. It was actually a pretty good session, I think. That one for Grim Hollow.
I think in terms of like character building, that's one of the best ones we've had so far.
Oh yeah. We have. I'll say this: So Acquisitions and Ravenloft love their RP moments, whereas I feel Grim Hollow is more of an action. They prefer the combat. So this was very much the most RP we've really had for.
Yeah. Because we're in a place where now that we've had
so much combat recently that you can finally have a little downtime. Even if you're
Even
still
though
not
it's
safe.
Not downtime.
Yeah, like you're still in the middle of so much, but you're safe enough that you're like, oh, we can
our guard down a little bit, even though we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I fucking should have remembered what setting I was playing in.
But I think it was a good session.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, you can also find me on Blue Sky. I think that's it. Seth, speaking of D&D.
You can catch some friends of ours every day. Well, not every day.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
But not recently because they're on
not
a break.
Recently because they're on hiatus. Over at the Steam Dungeon on YouTube.
Yeah, watch some...
For their campaign Trials of Nebu.
Yeah, watch some D&D. It's a fun time, and since they're on hiatus, it's a good time to catch up. That's it for this week. Once again, thank you all for watching. Join us next week when we're going to talk about We're gonna have a double feature again. We're gonna talk about Chronicles of Corellia, Cracking the Mask short story that came out in Star Wars Insider. So we're going back to our Chronicles of Corellia short stories, and we've got the new audio drama, The High Republic Tempest Breaker. So some Lorna D.
She's back, baby.
Let's
That's
go.
my favorite Nihil scumbag.
So
Next to Deva.
Yeah.
Deva's cool.
I haven't seen Dava in forever. It's kind of weird, actually.
Deva's out here like, I'm good.
But yeah, so that's what we're doing next week. Thank you all for watching. I have spoken.
Later. Y'all be safe out there.